Alright, what is it, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with the Floowandereeze deck profile for this month. So, keep it short, keep it simple. Flu, it's just flu. There's nothing big or spectacular about it. There isn't no new support, if that's anything else to come by. And for the most part, Floowandereeze is definitely just taking its seat somewhere in the rogue pile and just enjoying that it's still around, because it's a decent enough deck. It's just, unfortunately, with everything else going on, a lot of the utilities that Flu has access to, a lot of the modern decks that are going around simply take advantage of the one thing that they try to do, which is banishing cards or removal as soon as possible. And even with D-Shifter locking out the graveyard, it tends to backfire, especially with Malice's access to the banish. Raziel does not care, and most of the others, while they fear it, have ways around it because of the other decks that are being played. So, yeah, it happens. So, alright, let's go ahead and just go into the deck profile. So, I'm running 3 copies of Robina, then 3 copies of Eaglin, 2 copies of Stree, 2 copies of Toucan, and 2 copies of Impin, 1 Ryza, 1 Apex, and 3 copies of D-Shifter. So, those are my monsters. For my spells, 3 copies of Map, 3 copies of the Advent of Adventure, 1 copy of Unexplored Winds, 1 copy of Swallow's Cowray, 1 copy of Harpie's Feather Duster, this was everybody into Lonnie, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Terraforming, 3 Duality, 2 Extravagance, and 1 Prosperity. Then for the traps, because I can fit everybody here, 3 copies of Featherstorm and 2 copies of the Dreaming Town. Alright, that's it for the main deck. That's 40 for the extra. 3 Conductor, 1 SP, 1 Dirt, 1 Hita, 1 Winnie, 1 Access Code, 2 Assembly Robin, 2 Assembled Nightingale, 2 Promenade Thrush, and 1 Double Zeus Sky Thunder. And that's pretty much it for the main and the extra. And since the extra deck is where it is, I might as well just go through it. Most of these extra deck monsters will not be used in this deck because you're using them to fill up the cards for Pot of Prosperity and Pot of Extravagance. The only every time, unless you're really backed in the corner and you have no choice, exceeding or even linking into monsters is primarily your last resort. Now, I would ultimately say if you are going to try to use it, maybe go spelling with your cherries, but even then, you'd have to add a lot of extra monsters into your deck to stop the other extra monsters that are filling up the game right now. But for the most part, yeah, this is basically just the monsters that I use in my extra deck, just to fill up things. Probably the only one, if I ever have to go into, might be Harpie Conductor. That's just to play off Harpie's Featherstorm. That's literally it. Otherwise, this is just put whatever you can into your extra deck because you're not going to go into it. And if you are going to it, there is definitely a problem in your main deck. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, move that out of the way as well. Let's go into this main deck. So, monster lineup, 3 Robina, because she searches for your level 4 or lower winged beast. 3 Eaglin, because this searches for your level 7 or higher winged beast, which is primarily one portion of your deck that you need. Both of these monsters are extremely great at searching for each other no, searching for one or searching for others that you use in the combo of the deck, which is basically just stack your normal summons on top of each other to where you can use the little birds for the tribute of the bigger birds. Two straight, and I know most people are probably saying, why are you running two? You can easily just, like I said, you need a lot of little birds for the tributes as fast as possible. So having multiple copies of it does help out. Then 2 copies of Toucan for the same thing as well. Toucan can recover a lot of your Floowandereeze cards that are banished by other effects, so that you can get them back into your hand. Now, just before we go into the bigger birds, do remember, all 4 of these have the ability that they can chain their ability to return themselves to the hand once a turn, when another card's effect is activating. So, let's say for instance, you have a Toucan banish, you summon a Rabina, you activate Rabina, you chain the Toucan goes to your hand, and Rabina can search. And that's how a lot of Floowandereeze cards tend to work, especially in this deck. And in most Floowandereeze decks as well. The 2 copies of Impin, I have only rarely seen 3, but I like the 2 for the consistency because this monster is basically get your spell and trap cards to your hand. While it's tribute summon, your opponent's monsters that are in attack mode that are special summon can activate their effects, and then you can banish monsters from your hand. You banish Floowandereeze cards from your hand to then have the attack of monsters that attack and defensive monsters that your monsters are swinging into. Rise Up for removal, Omni Negate with Mist Valley Apex Avian, and the D-Shifter, who, while it is noted that yes, a lot of things in the game right now play around Shifter. Shifter is still useful in this deck because of how it can shut off access to spells and traps that aren't particularly named for things, or just keep things out of the graveyard that you do not want into the graveyard. It's also nice to open this up too. So, that is it for the monsters in the main. Now we're going to go into the spells. So, Floowandereeze in the map. Simply here to give you additional normal summons. Here to help you play around with a lot of your additional cards, because there are going to be times where you don't have a certain bird, but if you can reveal the other bird, then you can easily get to them as soon as possible, or trigger their abilities when you start normal summoning some of your other monsters, because that will then it's a setup game with this deck. Think of Monarchs, but there's always an extension of the normal summon. And oh, you can't show summon from your action. Actually, that's not too far off from Monarchs right now at this point. Floowandereeze in the Advent of Adventure to help you come get your field spell or to get your other Floowandereeze by banishing a winged beast monster from your hand or field in order to do such. Also, you gain 500 life points as well, so this can help you in some of those situations where you go into time. Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds, you can tribute monsters on your opponent's side of the cards on your opponent's side of the field for your tribute summons as well. You can reveal 2 winged beast monsters in your hand to then send them to the bottom of your deck and draw 2 cards, which helps out with consistency in the hand. Just note that some of your pot cards are not going to allow that ability to activate, but having this card on the board does help you with all the other issues that your deck is going to be dealing with, especially with decks and monsters who are immune to card effects. Swallow's Calray, I could just throw this out. It's only really here to get certain pieces, but even then I feel like this could be a better slot. Harpie's Feather Duster to remove spell and trap cards. The Triple Tactics talent, since people were asking me why am I not running multiples of these, well, I'm running multiples of these to keep the consistency of getting my other cards to my hand, especially if my opponent activates a monster effect during my turn, because then I can go get the card, add it to my hand, and then activate it that turn, especially with a lot of my spells. Terraforming as another Advent of Adventure to go get my field spell. Pot of Duality for the consistency and to get the pieces. Since this deck does not special summon, Pot is a definite usage of what can be used in this deck. Pot of Extravagance for the same reason. There's no need for the extra deck, you're just using them to fuel the Pot's ability to draw you 2 cards. Pot of Prosperity, another. Use the graveyard as fuel to help you get the cards that you need as soon as possible. Harpie's Feather Storm, and I know people are are saying, why are you running 3? Well, I want the consistency of negation, and if I have any access to it, I'm going to abuse it. That's just simply how it is. And in some cases, while some decks still tend to have their 15 Omni negates, I'm going to still run my multiple Omni negates if I have to. Then the other card is Floowandereeze in the Dreaming Town, and this is just really to mess with your opponent on their turn, in addition to your map. So that way you can normal summon on your opponent's turn. And once you get to your level 7 or higher, then you're able to fit things face down as well. So it's a nice little interruption card in its own merit. So that is it for every card in both the main and the extra deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's probably the fastest I've ever done a Floowandereeze deck, because there's really not much to really talk about. It's flew, it flies, it has winged beast in it. That's as simple as it gets. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to upload this as soon as I possibly can. I have more content coming soon for you guys, and I hope you enjoy what's to come. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content to my channel. My social media links are in the description box below, and I'll catch y'all next time. HBJ, signing out. Take care.